Hello, hello. How's it going? Welcome to Adventure Time. We're gonna play Choose Your Adventure. All right, I'll just pick out the ones people seem to like. So Wolfie, you said love Stonehenge. All right, Wolfie, are you ready to journey to Stonehenge? A newspaper written by, for, and about kids all over the world. The editor-in-chief, your friend Mark, hands you a cablegram. Our teenage archaeologists are working at Stonehenge under my leadership. New discoveries phenomena will startle the world. Send reporter within 5 days by PJ Engleton. Sounds like a crackpot to me, you say to Mark. I checked him out, says Mark. He's the real thing, 15 years old, but a brilliant student of history and archaeology. He and a group of other British kids convinced their government to let them dig around Stonehenge. Wolfie, you should get on this, come on. The first group in 10 years to get permission. Even if his discovery doesn't startle the world, there's a story in Stonehenge in his group. Want to go? Why not? I've never been to England. It should be fun. That night, you're on a jet to London. Holy shit. Mark cabled PJ Engleton to expect you. And when you arrive, you're greeted by a young woman. I'm Joanne. I'm working with PJ. My car's outside. Yeah, they got Bunny Wolfie, exactly. On the long drive through the English countryside, Joanne fills you in on PJ and his expedition. PJ is a child prodigy and genius, although I'll say he's a bit self-proclaimed. He's, put very simply, he's a publicity hound. Do you think he exaggerated to get me here, you ask? Yes and no, Joanne replies. PJ's made some wild claims. He says he's witnessing some very strange things around Stonehenge. Things that have to do with, as he puts it, a breakdown in the walls of space-time. Oh no. Taking a rise from the road, Joanne turns to get your reaction before continuing. The problem is, no one seems to know exactly what he's talking about. He's alone most of the time. You'll see what I mean. At last, you and Joanne reach Stonehenge as you walk up the broad avenue leading to the monument. Beyond those three circles stand the massive towering stones, which are the megalith Stonehenge. In the center of it all, standing in solitude, is the altar stone. Space and time. G'day, Yank! A boisterous voice calls from behind you. My name's PJ Engleton. PJ, a chubby British youth, takes you aside, leaving Joanne behind. Nice you to come by. I was thinking, if you want the real story of Stonehenge, you better stay in my tent with me, or you wouldn't regret it. As quickly as the conversation began, it ends, and PJ walks away from you. That means he's finished talking, Joanne says. Why don't I show you into the guest tent? Well, PJ mentioned something about staying with him, you say. What kind of reporter are you? How do you expect to get an objective picture of this expedition? Staying one of its members? It's up to you, of course. I'd stay on my own if I were you, at least until you get a better idea of what we're all about. Wolfie Morocco, do you want to stay with PJ? Or do you turn away and go to the guest tent? What is your choice, Wolfie Morocco? Yep, alright. Alright, sleep with PJ. Stay with PJ, page 16. That night, after everyone's gone to sleep, PJ's still awake. There's something at the monument I want you to see, he whispers. Follow me. You rush it after him. I've been witnessing paranormal disturbances over the last few nights, PJ tells you, as you walk towards the monument. I'd like you to observe them with me. He leads you to a place just outside the earthen ring surrounding Stonehenge. Watch the monument, he says, laying a sleeping bag on the ground. If anything happens, wake me. In no time at all, PJ falls asleep. What a douche. Hours pass. You watch as the moon weaves a path through the stones and arches of Stonehenge. Suddenly, you hear noises coming from the inner rings of the monument. It sounds as if a group of people are inside, chanting a strange language. You wake PJ, but he's already sitting bolt upright, his eyes wide open as if in a daze. PJ, what's going on, you ask? He doesn't answer. Instead, he gets up and walks towards the monument. You turn to watch him and see a coloured light glowing within Stonehenge. It's as if the moon has been cast through a prism, bathing the stones in a spectrum of light. PJ's moving as though he were hypnotized. He walks into a circle of light. Goosebumps prickle your flesh, and a chill goes down your spine. You don't know what to do. All you know is you've never been this afraid before. Dare you follow PJ or go back to the camp to get help? Are we going to help PJ? Are we going to let PJ walk into Stonehenge without us? Follow. Not daring to leave PJ alone, you follow him into a circle. As you near the center of the Stonehenge, you feel yourself being pulled by a force beyond your power. Inside the inner ring, the massive stones seem to hover over the ground. Holy shit, this branch is awesome. The singing is louder now. Hundreds of voices chant in a language you've never heard. Somehow, you feel you can understand it. In front of the altar stone, you see 3 rocks, each about the size of a golf ball, glowing with rainbow light. As you follow PJ towards them, you sense that voices are trapped within these rocks. PJ edges closer. Slowly, the stones lift from the ground, and the 2 end stones begin to revolve around the middle one. There's a story here, if you live to tell it. Even so, it might be smart to forget the story and run the other direction. Just as you think this, PJ reaches out for the middle stone. For a moment, he stands motionless. Then he holds his hand out to you. Do you grab PJ's hand and try and pull him out? Or do you try and get one of these stones? Eric says, screw PJ, we go solo. Alright, finally it's a PJ. You grab PJ's hand and stare. The two of you have taken on the same rainbow tint that's in the rocks. You feel trapped, unable to escape the force pulling you into Stonehenge. Suddenly, you and PJ are hurled into the air. You whirl around the stones as if you're on some kind of crazy merry-go-round. The chanting grows louder, and the light becomes brighter and brighter. PJ's hand is slipping away. 1,000 different colors have taken over your mind, you become dizzy, and the colors black out. A large bearded man shakes you awake. It seems to be morning. As you regain your senses, you see that the man is wearing a rough burlap tunic. He speaks to you in a very guttural tones that somehow sound familiar. Confused, you stand up slowly, and then you notice that your body and clothing have changed completely. You become someone else. It's you, Wolfie. You try to walk, but your head is ringing. Above you is a large platform made of logs, surrounding two enormous Stonehenge slabs. Someone help Auric! The man calls. He speaks in the same language you heard coming from the rocks, and you're amazed you can understand everything he says. Several young people help you to your feet. Something rattles in the pouch tied around your waist. Reaching in, you feel the 3 stones that brought you to this place. Here are your tools, a young girl says, handing you a leather pouch. We can finish carving the top of the stone tomorrow. You've had a nasty fall. A boy your age holds out his hand to you. He has bright red hair and an impish grin. Come, Auric. I'll walk with you down the road. As you walk from the monument, you see Stonehenge is a very late stage of construction. The altar stone stands on the inner ring. The trilithons are being completed. Suddenly you remember PJ. Where is he? Well, Auric, your escort says when you reach a fork in the road. Here's where I turn for home. I'll see you tomorrow. He seems to know where he's going, but you have no idea where you are. Alright, Wolfie Mariko. You've been blasted into the past as Auric, Stonehenge cutter. You don't know where home is, but the only friendly native is about to abandon you. So, if you tell the boy you don't know where your home is and risk him realizing you're not Auric, turn to page 43. If you decide to bluff your way through the village, turn to page 13. Do you bluff or do you tell him? Bluff. See you tomorrow, you call to the boy, and begin walking along a dirt path that leads uphill through the forest. For some time you follow the path, evening falls and it becomes quite dark. You turn around, but in the darkness you lose your way. You're no longer on the path leading back to Stonehenge. Finally, you find your way out of the forest and back to Stonehenge. Light is breaking over the horizon. You've walked all night. As you enter the monument area, you hear voices. 2 men stand talking. One is very tall, with a thick red beard. The other is short and wiry, wearing a heavy patch at his side. They'll attack you tonight, Osin, the tall man says. Unless you can find some other way. An attack could be disastrous, Belton. The huntsman would lose many lives. I'm sure that if I were given more time, I'd come up with a better way to defeat the priestess. Time is of the essence, proclaims Belton. The priestess begins to hold the rituals here. The people will gather under you. Do not forget, we've been promised a great wealth from the Iron Warlord, the huntsman. We can stop that from happening. But will the huntsman keep the promise? Osin asks. Without thinking, you shift your weight and accidentally step on the Simulu's rocks. Osin and Belton look at you. Well, Auric, have you arrived early today to make up for the time you lost yesterday? You nod, and he continues to speak. Perhaps, Auric, you can help with that problem. Of course, Belton says, clapping his hands together. Why, I nearly think of that. A stone cutter with a priestess? Auric, how'd you like to be paid handsomely for a very small, very important job? What kind of job, Belton? You ask. A spy, of course. Wolfie Mariko, we're embroiled in ancient politics. Are you going to spy for the huntsman, or are you saying that you will not be a spy? Be careful, these men are armed. Spy for the men. I'll spy for you on one condition. What would that be? Osin asks. The ears stay close by me for my protection, you say. At this, Belton laughs. A good deal. We'll start in the priestess's temple. Whatever you hear, report back to Osin. You and Osin walk back the broad avenue to a group of wood and mud huts a few hundred yards away from the monument. A thick, fortress-like wall surrounds the small village. Osin thinks you know where you're going, but you very subtly allow him to show you the way by his movements. At the temple, a large stone and glass structure, the guards allow you to pass inside when you say you're working for the priestess. A guard leads you into a massive hall. Sitting on a splendid throne of bronze and amber is the most beautiful woman you've ever seen. She's arrayed in the finest silks and wearing bronze necklace and medallions. Even more amazing is seated right in front of her is a boy who looks just like PJ. Before you can say a word, you are searched. The guard discovers your 3 stones and takes them away. The priestess then dismisses the guard. You're not a stone carver, the priestess says, any more than your friend here, with a nod to PJ, is a merchant. but I must congratulate both of you for having so successfully deceived my tribesmen. I myself has had a similar experience, traveling through time and living in other realities. The ground we now stand on is hallowed, she continues. The gods use it for their own purposes. You must be part of their plans, and it's our duty to discover what those plans are. I want you to remain here as my guest today. Tonight, we'll test the powers of the moon on your being, and on these stones you brought with you. That night, the priestess summons you and PJ to your cell. If you truly have the power to travel in time, she says, handing you the stones, I will allow you to go free. But if you've lost this power, you'll be killed as spies. Kim bitch! The three of you head to the monument in the inner ring. You lay the 3 stones on the ground. Slowly they absorb the moonlight and take on the colourful hues you saw when you travelled through time. The stones lift from the ground and the 2 stones begin revolving. You grasp PJ's hand and stretch for the middle stone. Better stick to what we know, you say. You become dizzy and lose consciousness. When you wake up, you're sitting in the middle of Stonehenge. You stand up and see PJ lying not far away from you. His eyes are wide open and there's a look of amazement on his face. That can't have been real! Suddenly you hear Joanne's voice. Where have you been? She cries. We thought you'd died. You've been gone for 2 whole days. 2 days? More like 4,000 years, Joanne. The end. And then you give Joanne a swirly. Wolfie Marco, you did it! You uncovered the mystery of Stonehenge. Yay! It's a time machine. 10 out of 10 ending. I agree on before rack. Cabot, do you want to have an adventure? Do you want to explore hyperspace? Do you want to see beyond the race forever? Will you investigate the UFO 5440? Discover the secrets of the pyramids? Or become the master of karate? What is your adventure, Cabot? Pyramid? Alright, Cabot. You are relaxing one afternoon after school when you get a phone call from your Uncle Bruce, a brilliant scientist and world traveler. I'm just in from Egypt, he says. I have to get some new equipment to continue my investigations of the pyramids. How would you like to go back with me for a few weeks? You've always envied Bruce, dashing off to exotic places in the Middle East and the Orient, sometimes vanishing for months at a time. It doesn't take you long to make up your mind to go. The next few days are a blur of preparations. Before you know it, you and Bruce are on a TWA jet heading for Rome on the first leg of your trip to Cairo. On the plane, your uncle explains his plan to place special instruments in a chamber under the center of the largest pyramid at Giza. He is correct. The rays can be concentrated by the pyramid to produce an unlimited amount of energy. Your Uncle Bruce is a bit wacky. While Bruce is talking, you notice that the man nearby is straining to hear him. No doubt he's just curious. Strange looking though. In Rome, you change to an Egyptian jet. You're startled to notice the same man from the other jet aboard your Cairo-bound plane. I'll have lots of red tape to take care of at the airport when we land. Why don't you just breeze through customs and take a cab to the Star and Crescent Hotel, where we're staying? My assistant Andrea will be waiting there for you. She can get you settled in our room while my equipment is unloaded from the plane. As soon as you land, Bruce is off to the baggage area, leaving you alone in a foreign land. As if that isn't enough, the stranger from the plane appears and hands you a small folded piece of paper and dashes towards a taxi outside the terminal. Oh no. Quickly you unfold the note, sprawled in red ink, of the words, "Beware the Sphinx." You've heard about the statue of the Sphinx next to the pyramids, but why should you be aware of it? The thought occurs to you that the Sphinx could be a code word and not refer to the actual Sphinx at all. Maybe the note is a meaningless hoax. On the other hand, it could spell danger for you and Bruce. Now you have a hunch you should follow this man. Do you follow the mysterious man? Or do you decide it's wiser to go back to your hotel? What do you do, Cabot? Hotel? Alright. There's no telling what to the guy without really knowing where you're going. You toss your bag into the back of a cab. Star and Crescent Hotel, you tell the driver. When you arrive, Andrea is waiting for you in the lobby. She helps you check in. The bellboy insists on carrying your bag, even though you're traveling light. As you leave the elevator and head for your room, you could swear the door closes as you approach. Maybe it's the wind, but the air seems very still, and after that warning, you don't want to take any chances. Wait, you say. I don't want this room. I don't like the location. The bellboy looks confused, and Andrea seems shocked. You haven't had a chance to tell her about the note. I'll explain later, you tell Andrea. Right now, I'm going to go back to the lobby and ask for a different room. But at the check-in, the clerk will not listen to you. What will you do? Do you threaten to go to another hotel, unless the clerk can change your room, or decide you're imagining things and let the clerk talk you into going back to your original room? Another hotel? Alright. Your threat of going to another hotel seems to do the trick. The clerk sighs and mutters something about tourists. Nevertheless, he directs a porter to carry your bag to a new room. What's this all about, asks Andrea. I'm not sure myself, but a man at the airport handed me a warning note. If we're in danger, changing our room may throw the pursuer off, or at least show him we're on our guard. I think this is a lot of nonsense, Andrea says. Your new suite consists of 2 small rooms with a connecting door. The first room is windowless, and the second room has a small window covered by a screen of very elaborate grillwork. Andrea's room is on the other side of the hotel and not far from your original room. Bruce arrives a short time later. You tell him about the warning note and explain you've changed rooms. Splendid! He exclaims, you must always follow your hunches, especially when danger is involved. Now I suggest we go out into town for evening. You don't want to miss the Sahara Club. It's famous belly dances. Not only is Uncle Bruce gonna install some contraption to focus cosmic rays on the pyramid, he's also taking a young girl out to see belly dances in the middle of the night in Egypt. Uncle Bruce is a legend. It's very late when you get back to the hotel. You're weary from the plane trip and the experiences of the day. You fall asleep instantly. Bruce is in the adjoining room. At dawn, something startles you awake. You hear sounds of a struggle in Bruce's room. Quick as a cat, you spring out of bed and run to the door. It's suddenly very quiet in the next room. Bruce, are you alright? You call through the door, but there's no answer. You throw open the door, and Bruce is gone. The room is a mess. Sheets trail across the floor as if a struggle had taken place. In several places, there are drops of blood. The screen covering the window has been pushed in. There are more spots of blood on the windowsill and on the small ledge outside. You look down, there's a 4-story drop to the street. On the street, you see 2 men loading a large basket into the back of an old panel truck. From this height, and still in the dim light, you can't be sure. Something tells you one of them is the stranger who gave you the note. You also have a strong suspicion that your uncle is in the basket. The ledge outside the window only extends a short distance to either side, but there are no other windows nearby. But there are several small balconies on the 2nd and 3rd floors. There's also a drain pipe on the side of the ledge. Maybe you could slide down the drain pipe to the nearest balcony and then climb down to the street. You're in a panic. What do you do? Are you going to risk climbing down the side of the building? Or are you going to go to the police? Police, okay. I'm not sure if the police are going to help us. Climbing down the side of the building is too risky, you think. One slip and you wouldn't be much help to your uncle then. You run down to the lobby and quickly explain the situation to the desk clerk. I told you should have kept the room you were assigned, said the clerk smugly. But you're in need of emergency assistance. I'll do what I can. He picks up the hotel phone after some sass and clicks for the operator. At that moment, a policeman enters the hotel lobby. A surprised clerk hangs up the phone and looks at him open-mouthed. Inspector Ahmed, sputters the clerk. What's the trouble here? Asks the inspector. My uncle's been kidnapped from the hotel, you say. Is your uncle Professor Hockney? Says the inspector. How did you know? I've been watching this hotel since he arrived. I was afraid something like this might happen. I think I saw the kidnappers in a truck behind the hotel. You and the inspector run to the back entrance of the hotel, but the truck is gone. I shouldn't have waited, you say, downcast. I should have climbed down the wall of the hotel and tried to stop them before they got away. No, says the inspector. You did the right thing. These men are fanatics. They probably would have shot you down. You know the men who did this? They're members of an ancient terrorist group known as the Society of Assassins. They know your uncle is working on a way to produce enormous amounts of energy. They would like to steal his secret and use it for their evil plans. Did Bruce know they were after him? But he's always exposing himself to danger. A most peculiar man, your uncle. In any event, says the inspector, he's a brave man too, and I failed to protect him. I feel responsible for your uncle's disappearance. I'll do everything in my power to find him. First, you say, I think we should go upstairs and wake up Bruce's assistant, Andrea. You go to Andrea's room. Ahmed knocks on the door, no answer. The door is unlocked. You and Ahmed go in, then there's no Andrea. I want you to look through my photo file. The inspector's office is cluttered but organized in its own way. A row of file cabinets lines one side of the room. Ahmed puts out a folder, opens it on the few bare sections of his long desk, and spreads out a collection of photographs for you to study. Somehow you're not surprised to see the man from the plane in one of the photos. You tell Ahmed the whole story. The man you recognize is a member of the Assassins, says Ahmed. This just confirms what I told you before. Through informers, I have discovered the secret desert headquarters of the Assassins. There is a strike force of paratroopers and a dozen helicopters waiting to attack. We must go as soon as possible. This book is a fever dream. This mission may prove very dangerous. I advise you not to go, but the decision is yours. Do you go with Inspector Ahmed with a battalion of helicopters to save your uncle from the League of Assassins? Or do you stay home? We don't have any little PJs to save or whatever. You can save your uncle, okay. There may be dangers involved, but you can't let your uncle down. You tell the inspector you will go on the raid. We leave at dawn tomorrow. It is not advisable for you to go back to your hotel. My personal bodyguard will escort you today. He will bring you to my home, where you will spend the night. Perhaps you would like to go to the pyramids today. It might keep my mind off Bruce until tomorrow, you say. Then let's step outside. As you do, a long black Mercedes limousine pulls up. The car is bulletproof among other things. You'll find it quite comfortable and safe. The driver steps out. This is Mohammed, says the inspector, introducing his bodyguard. Enjoy your sightseeing. Muhammad drives you to the famous pyramids of Giza. A group of tourists is gathered at the foot of the largest one. Why don't we join the group, says Muhammad. It's the safest way, and you'll find it informative. You never liked official tours of any sort. You're too independent, but you see the logic of Muhammad's suggestion. As the group starts into the pyramid, you and Muhammad fall behind. You enter a low, narrow passageway. Do we have to follow the tour, you ask Muhammad? If I may presume to suggest an alternative, says Muhammad. I myself was once employed as a guide to this very pyramid. If you would like me to show you some of the lesser passageways, I'd be happy to guide you. Do you accept Muhammad's invitation to let him show you around the pyramid? Or are the narrow passageways making you feel too closed in? Cabot, might I remind you, your uncle is currently being hunted by the League of Assassins, and a man you don't know is asking to take you into like a burial chamber. What do you want to do? Do you trust the friendly Muhammad to show you around the pyramid? Let's see what happens if we go to the pyramid. Okay. We accept Muhammad's invitation to go into the pyramid, page 34. Anything will be better than this lecture, you say. Those other passageways sound exciting. You follow Muhammad into a narrow tunnel. He stops and feels along the wall. One of the stones in the wall slide back, and a small, very low door opens. Quickly, says Muhammad. We must get inside before anyone comes. Muhammad enters the long horizontal shaft. The passageway is so low, you have to crawl on your hands and knees. You hear a click as the stone door behind you slides back into place. You hope Muhammad knows where he's going. You and Muhammad crawl for quite a while. Finally, you come to a large square chamber. The walls are white, with blue and gold hieroglyphs painted in the neat rows around the room. In the exact center of the floor is a round hole. This is what we call the Well of Ancients. You mean you can draw water from down there? There are many things other than water that can be drawn from a well. Wisdom, perhaps. This well is very deep. Here, drop this in the well and see if you can hear when it hits the bottom. Muhammad hands you a small coin. It's triangular, with elaborate design in the center. A tiny, just barely visible hieroglyphic inscription runs around the edge. The coin shines as if made of gold. You throw the coin in, and you put your ear close to the well. For a full minute you hear nothing, and then you hear a strange humming, a high musical note that vibrates both in the well and inside your head. You turn to look back at Muhammad, but he seems to have disappeared. Suddenly, you feel as if you're losing your balance. You fall into the well. This Muhammad guy's really dodgy. Did Muhammad push you into the well? Did you really slip and fall? You can't tell. You're gritting your teeth and you wonder how far you fall before you hit the bottom. You still hear the humming. It grows louder. You should be terrified falling down a bottomless shaft in the center of an ancient pyramid, maybe to your death. But you're strangely calm. The musical note seems to have something to do with it, and your rate of falling has slowed. A strong blast of air below is cushioning your fall. Suddenly you land on your feet. You look around you amazed. You're in a small platform in the center of an amphitheater. Around you is a circle of 9 white-robed figures standing on large stones. The central figure, sitting on the largest throne, speaks. We've been expecting you. I'm not sure where I am, you say. Am I still inside the pyramid? This chamber is the lowest point of an inverted pyramid, the exact mirror image of the one above. This is the true magical form discovered by the ancients. Only the upper, above ground half of this form is known to those outside our order. We're revealing our secret to you because we hope that you will join us. Your uncle is one of our initiates. He's now in great danger. If you become a member of the order, you'll be much better equipped to find him. What do I have to do to join? Psychic energy is collected above and then concentrated down here. The energy will transform your being and initiate you into the Order of Light. I must warn you, if you accept these powers, you'll also be given profound responsibilities. Your life can no longer be a simple one, but must be dedicated to fighting the forces of darkness. Do you accept psychic powers to help you find your uncle to rescue him from terrorists? Or do you think that this all sounds a bit too far-fetched? A bit too far-fetched. Okay, we reject the order. I think I'll stay the way I am. I'll find Bruce my own way. Very well, says the speaker. Obviously, you are not meant to be one of the chosen. You're right, I don't. You can't complete the sentence. You feel yourself blacking out. You awaken outside the pyramid, you're lying on the ground, and Muhammad is putting a damp cloth on your forehead. Ow, my head, you say as you try to sit up. What happened to the pyramid? I don't remember. You hit your head on a low doorway of that last room. You knocked yourself out. Do not be embarrassed. Many do that in the dim corridors of the pyramid. Just then, your uncle and Andrea rush up with Ahmed. Hey! Uncle Bruce, you exclaim. I'm glad to see you. I thought you were a goner when they took you off in their truck. We caught some of the gang members, just as they were trying to smuggle your uncle out of the city. We also have reports that a severe sandstorm wiped out the terrorist headquarters in the desert. Oh, nice. Later, back at the hotel, Bruce tells you some disappointing news. For some reason, my instruments under the pyramid do not seem to be working properly. I think I'll have to go back to the States to redesign them. When I come back here next time, do you want to come along again? Now that's going to be hard to decide. Yay! Well, Cabot, you lived that time. So you rejected the Order of Light, Ahmed rescued your uncle, and the terrorists were destroyed. I guess it's a good ending. Emmy, you're back. Awesome. Emmy, do you want to play? We need a player, Emmy. We need a player. Yes, it is your turn. The shortlisted books: The Race Forever, Master of Karate, inside UFO 5440, or hyperspace. Master of Karate, alright. We are in Japan. In your past adventures, Master of Kung Fu and Master of Taekwondo, you went to China and Korea. Now you're in Japan. Jesus. Emmy, are you the Master of Kung Fu, Taekwondo, and now Karate? That's crazy. You're nodding off in Mr. McGrath's English class when the school bell finally rings. You collect your books and head for the door. Then you rush down the wide corridor towards the gym. Seconds later, you're at your hall locker, stowing away your books and pulling out your gi, a white, loose-fitting karate uniform. In the locker room, you change as fast as you can and run into the gym, where the other members of the karate club, of which you're the president, are already lined up in a row. Billy Baxter, your best friend, is there after having dropped out of the club a year or so to concentrate on computers. Billy, nerd. You take your place next to him at the head of the line and nod hello to Veronica Martin, a new but very promising member. Mr. Clark, your gym teacher and faculty advisor for the karate club, enters. Everyone stops talking as he kneels down on the floor in front of you. One by one, you and your classmates do the same, preparing for the brief session of meditation that always begins you after school practice. At the signal, you close your eyes and try to wipe the mirror of your mind free of dust, as Mr. Clark likes to say, quoting one of the ancient Chinese masters. After meditation, you all stand and bow before Mr. Clark, who bows in return. He studied karate in Japan, where he was in the army, and likes to include all the formalities that he learned over there. Before we start today's practice, Mr. Clark says, I have an announcement to make. UJEC, a Japanese electronics company, is sponsoring a nationwide karate tournament. We've been asked to compete. The qualifying meets will be held at a school in Middletown 2 weeks from now, and the finals will take place in Japan, with all expenses paid by UJEC. I suggest we work extra hard to prepare. After practice, you, Billy and Veronica walk home. Winning that tournament should be a snap, Billy says. After all, we both studied Kung Fu with the best in China. And you learned a lot about Taekwondo last summer in Korea while searching for your friend Ling. Our martial arts training is pretty strong. That doesn't mean someone else might not have as much training or as much skill. You two are the best in our class, Veronica says. I'm just a beginner. But if they count the whole team in the scoring, then don't worry, Billy says. You're good. If you continue to practice, you'll only get better. We have 2 weeks, you say. Instead of our usual 3 times a week, let's promise to practice together every day, even if it's only for an hour. I'm with you, Billy says. Count me in, says Veronica, waving goodbye and turning the driveway back to the house. 2 weeks later, you and the rest of your karate team meet at Middletown High. The bleachers set up on the side of the gym are packed with spectators, and in the center, a large square ring is marked off for the floor with a broad white border. Teams from a dozen schools in the state are gathered, broken off into groups all around the ring. Tanaka-san, a gentleman from the UJEC, comes from the judge's table and announces in broken English the basic rules and the start of the tournament. Contestants are paired off into individual and team matches according to an elimination chart drawn up earlier from a random selection of names. Each bout will last 3 minutes or until a major punch or kick is delivered, just short of actual contact. The lineup begins with Veronica, to be followed by Billy in the second match. Veronica wins, but Billy loses, a little too easily for his earlier bravado. I guess I need more practice than I thought, he says, walking over dejectedly. That's what you get for studying computers instead of the blade, Billy. Of the other 6 members in your team, 5 win, 1 loss. It's your turn next. The team now has enough points to carry the tournament if you win the match. You go to the center of a ring and assume a fighting stance. At the judge's signal, your opponent, a tall blonde boy with a crew cut, attacks almost all at once. You quickly dodge his attack and grab his sleeve, throwing him off balance. Then you counterattack with a backhand strike to the point a quarter of an inch from the bridge of his nose. After a succession of quick punches and kicks that drive your opponent out of the ring, the referee calls for the end of the match and declares you the winner. The crowd goes wild as Tanaka-san congratulates you and your team, shaking your hand. Wow, Veronica says. We did it! A few weeks later, you, Billy, and Veronica are driven to the airport by your mother. Be careful. Remember what happened to you while you were away on your other trips. Oh, don't worry, you say, Mum. What kind of trouble could I get into this time? In the terminal, you meet Mr. Clark and the rest of the team. Then you board your Japan Airlines flight to Tokyo. Billy bends your ears about computers for almost the whole flight over. This trip will be fantastic. The Japanese produce some great computers, not to mention all the other electronic stuff they make. He seems to have forgotten all about the karate and the reason you're going to Japan. Veronica, on the other hand, sleeps for most of the flight. In a way, you envy her. The plane lands sometimes in the afternoon at Narita Airport, just outside Tokyo in Japan. The reception area is filled with fast food restaurants and souvenir stores. The Japanese kids your own age, you're curious to see, are all wearing stonewashed jeans and sneakers. The adults are wearing Western clothes. You're not sure what you expected to see, something more exotic maybe. Up ahead, a small figure is pushing his way through the crowd and waving. It's Tanaka-san. He must have taken an earlier plane. Now, listen. He flew here with karate magic, obviously. Jesus, get your act together, choose your adventure. You take limousine to hotel, Tanaka-san says to Mr. Clark as he directs a uniformed attendant pushing a large airport cart loaded with your baggage. Then he bows. Group all taken care of, he says. You and the others get into the elongated limo. As it pulls out to the airport, it's immediately caught in congested traffic on the outskirts of the city. Up ahead, the tall, dazzling, ultra-modern skyscrapers of Tokyo loom like the Emerald City of Oz. That could be the next New York, says Billy. If you look quickly, whatever happened to the quaint Japan we used to read about in geography class, Veronica asks. Maybe it's around here somewhere. It's not up ahead, that's for sure. An hour or so later, you pull up to the front of a huge glass-walled building. After getting the room keys at the front desk, you follow Mr. Clark through the glittering lobby, where you join the rest of the group. How does everyone feel? Mr. Clark asks, listlessly. I'm going to turn and sleep. Some of that jet lag. If anyone goes out, don't stay too long at the hotel. Remember, we have to be up early tomorrow for practice. He turns around and disappears in the elevator, followed by most of your group. I don't know about the two of you, but I'm going to go out and have a look around, you say. I'm with you, says Billy. Maybe we can find a computer store. What are we going to do with you, Veronica exclaims. We just got here. Let's explore. Which way first? Just walk in one direction and see what there is. You can come back and try another direction tomorrow. As the three of you pass through the revolving door to the outside, you notice that some of the sun has vanished and it's starting to rain. The sky is almost as dark as night, and people all around you are opening umbrellas and racing for cover. In addition to rain, there seems to be a smoggy haze in the air that blurs the cascades of red, orange, and yellow neon signs that run both sides of the street. Bro, why are there a bunch of kendo guys smashing computers? Look over there, Billy says after you've walked a few blocks. It's an electronics store. Several electronics stores. They're all over the place. The three of you enter the nearest store. I've never seen so many different brands, says Billy, as he heads up the center aisle of the showroom, which is curiously empty of people. Maybe we should just leave you here and come back in a few days, Veronica says, sarcastically. But Billy's so engrossed he doesn't even hear it. You follow him to the back when suddenly there is a series of crashes in front of the store. You turn around and see a number of figures dressed in some kind of black medieval armor. They're smashing the merchandise with the heavy wooden clubs. The sales clerk holders and runs through the door to the back of the showroom. You have no idea what's going on, but instinctively, you follow him. The sales clerk slams the door shut and locks it behind him. He begins hollering something in Japanese into a phone, but it must be dead because he throws it to the floor with disgust. Must hide or run away, he says in English. Bad samurai come. Break up store. He points to a door that seems to lead to the basement and points back to the door leads outside. Meanwhile, the bad samurai are trying to smash through the showroom door. It's starting to splinter. You could run out the door, but there may be more samurai waiting out there. On the other hand, you could escape to the basement and only find yourself trapped down there. Whatever you choose, you have to decide fast. Do you hide in the basement or run out the back door? Hiding in the basement, page 54. You, Billy, and Veronica run down the stairs to the basement. The sales clerk follows, pausing to slam the door shut behind him. You feel a sense of relief as he secures it with a heavy bar. A single light bulb hangs from the ceiling of the large basement room, illuminating stacks of boxes. You can see from their labels they contain electronics equipment. Suddenly, you hear a loud noise at the top of the stairs. The sound reverberates through the basement. They must be trying to break down the door, Veronica says. What do we do if they get through? Before you can answer, the store clerk frantically pushes boxes away from one corner of the room. He seems to know what he's doing. Behind the boxes is a tall, narrow opening. He motions for you and your friends to follow him inside. Above, you hear the door to the basement start to splinter. I don't know where this leads, but it beats staying here. Let's go. The three of you squeeze single file into a passageway, following the sales clerk. In addition to being narrow, it's filled with wires and pipes, some of which are very hot. Moving forward is difficult, and the passageway seems to go on forever. Finally, you reach what looks like another basement. Overhead, you hear the heavy beat of American rock and roll. The clerk goes up a stairway at the far end. As he opens up the door at the top, the sound gets much louder. The clerk disappears through the door, as you, Billy, and Veronica cautiously climb up the stairs. At the top, you look into a large crowded room of people playing what looks like vertical pinball machines. You go into a pachinko parlor filled with hundreds of tiny balls, cascading down through a series of mazes. The noise is deafening. The three of you try to squeeze your way through the crowd. As you get near the door, you become aware of some kind of commotion going on outside. You wonder if it has anything to do with the man who attacked the electronics shop. You hear a loud roar coming from outside, even louder than the noise inside. It takes you a few seconds to identify, then you recognize the sound of several motorcycles revving up their engines. Whatever's going on, people from the outside are pushing to get in, even though the place is already jammed. You're pushed back. The crush is now incredible, although some of the people flattened against their machines are still playing. You wonder if you should keep struggling to get to the door, or be passive, save your strength, and let the crowd push you back until you're in a position to do something. Do you bide your strength and let yourself get pushed back by what I presume are like gangsters? Or Do you fight your way to the door? Let the crowd push backwards, 49. You relax your body and let the crowd take you wherever the flow goes. The pressure though increases from all sides and soon you can hardly breathe. You lose sight of Billy and Veronica. You can only hope they're okay. Somehow your legs get knocked out from under you. At first it doesn't make much of a difference since the crowd are holding you up. But then you start to sink, dragged down by the backwards movement of the crowd. It's like being in quicksand. Your chin gets caught up in a moment in somebody's belt as you continue to sink lower and lower. The last thing you remember before you lose consciousness is the top of your boot sliding past your nose. When you come to, you're lying on a leather-covered couch in a large office. Several Japanese men are looking down at you. They're dressed like gangsters in the old late-night TV movies. Dark suits with exaggeratedly wide shoulders, black shirts, white ties, black and white pointed shoes. Where am I? Where are my friends? Friends, all right. A man with a crew cut says in English, "They not badly hurt. You're very lucky." Who are you? A businessman, he replies. Some call us Yakuza. Yakuza, you say? I've heard of you, you're gangsters. No, businessmen. Maybe a special kind of business. But I've got to find my friends, you say, swinging your feet off the sofa trying to stand up. Friends are alright, I tell you. You must have waited. Mr. Bigger, he's on his way. You feel dizzy and sit down again. I think you've all been watching too many American movies, you say. One of the other men says something in Japanese to the man with the crew cut. Here comes Mr. Bigger now. At the far side of the office is an elevator. The indicator of the doors shows it's on its way up. Suddenly the doors open and the tallest Japanese man you've ever seen comes walking out. He's flanked by several smaller men, definitely thugs, who check the room out and then stand over to the side, over by the windows, and look as they've been expecting company. There you go. There's Mr. Big and the thugs. The man called Mr. Big rides over to the couch, takes off his jacket, and hands it to one of the other men. Underneath, the sleeves of his shirt are cut off at the shoulder, leaving bare his muscular arms, which are covered with tattoos from the wrists to the shoulders. "Namae wa Nico," he says, holding out his hand. "We shake like in your country. Make a deal." Despite his Japanese accent, you have a suspicion he's trying to do a Humphrey Bogart imitation. His handshake nearly crushes your hand. "Glad you're okay," he continues. "Don't want American tourists trampled to death. At least not in one of our respectable pachinko parlor." Pachinko? I've heard of that game. So that's what that place was, you say. "I'm alright now. If you'll show me how to get out of here." "Not so fast. Have a proposition for you," Nico says, snapping his fingers. Two of his men push up a large video screen next to his couch. He snaps his fingers again. Japanese followed by Western lettering appears. Surprisingly, it's information all about your life that appears on the screen. "As you can see, we know all about you and your trip last year to China and Korea. In fact, we are quite impressed by your talents. Apparently, UJC is also. Otherwise, they wouldn't have brought you here to be trained as American agent." "Hey, wait a minute," you say. "I came here with my friends to be in a karate tournament and—" "You will be contacted soon about their true intentions." If what you say is true, how do they know I'd win the qualifying meet back home? "With your martial arts background," Nico laughs, "how could you lose? Listen, we know about UJ's plan to take over the world, but nothing specific. We need more precise information if we're going to take advantage of it in ourselves. The Golden Ear Yakuza need a spy in their organization. You have been chosen. There is a lot of money in it for you. And if I refuse," you say? "This is offer you can't refuse. But of course, decision is yours." Do you want to be a spy for the Yakuza? Or do you just refuse? Alright, we're going to be a Yakuza spy. "Alright," you say grudgingly. "What is it you want me to do?" "Wait for the UJEC to contact you. Pretend to join their organization and keep your eyes," Nico says. "We give you a telephone number, then our bango. You contact us later. Right now, go back to hotel. Not mention this to anyone. Shh." Two of Nico's men escort you towards the elevator. "One more thing." Rising from his chair, he grabs your left hand, or one of his men, and thrusts it in your face. 2 fingers are missing. "Kano here has failed on his last assignment. Hey, Yakuza Place. Now that you are associate member, we hope you don't make any mistake." The elevator door opens, and the 2 men get in. One of them presses the button for the basement, level 34 levels down. When the doors open, a limousine is waiting for you. You get into the limousine. It climbs up a ramp out of the sunlight. Sometime later, you're at your hotel. The driver jumps out and opens the door for you. He's wearing a white glove, and you wonder if it's to hide missing fingers. As you get out, the driver bows. Before you can say another word, he's back in the limousine driving away. You enter the lobby and start across the elevator, where Mr. Clark comes running over to you. "There you are, we've been worried. Billy and Veronica said, they're all right, you ask?" "They're up in their room, resting. I heard how 3 of you got caught in the middle of a gang fight last night." "A gang fight? What gang fight?" "We're all meeting with Tanaka-san in an hour. He's going to brief all of you on the rules of the meet." Get yourself ready. He goes off to the street and you go up in one of the elevators to the suite of rooms where your karate club members are staying. Billy answers the door. You're all right, he exclaims when he sees you. You notice that Billy has his arm in a sling. Fucking Billy. It's not broken or anything, it's just a sprain. You go inside and Veronica runs over. We're so worried about you. We got to the door of the game place and some motorcycle thugs attacked us. We didn't know what happened to you. The police came and cleared everybody out. You were missing. What happened to you? I'm not too sure myself. I got trampled and knocked out. I woke up in this gangster's office. They said the UJEC people were... The UJEC people? Right, Billy interrupts. They're here a couple times this morning looking for you. I didn't tell them anything, I just said you weren't in. It must have something to do with the tournament. You are the president of the karate club. Speaking of the tournament, you say to Billy, how are you going to take part in it? It's a couple days from now. I'll be alright by then. The phone rings and Veronica picks it up. Yeah, we'll be right down, she says, and hangs up. That was Mr. Clark. He says the car is here. The three of you go down to the lobby. Several cars are parked out in front. Mr. Clark and other members of the team get in the first one. The second one is quickly filled. The remaining members, including Billy and Veronica, get in the third. You're about to slide next to them when one of the drivers steps between you and the door. Have special limousine. Take to your meeting. Yeah, we'll have friends with us, says Billy, trying to get out of the car. The driver gently says, shut up, Billy, and pushes him back in the seat. Billy and Veronica peer out the window looking worried. It's alright. I've been expecting this. If you would be so kind, the driver says, bowing. He points to a limousine parked off to the side. You go over and get in as the driver holds the door open for you. A lone Japanese man is in the back seat, beaming like a used car salesman about to hook a customer. Ah, so nice for you to join. My name is Yoshi. I have offer for you. Tell me about it, you say. I represent the management of UJEC. We want you to do some work for us. We give you training, accommodations, all expenses paid. Why me, you ask, as the limousine pulls away from the curb. You're good, very good. We had eye on you for a very, very long time. We know about your trips to China and Korea. You're a very strong fighter. That's flattering, but what about tournament? You no need karate. More important for you work us. We arrange everything. What about my friends? Can they be included? Better offer for friends as well. But that will come later. Not wise. Put cart before horse. What exactly do you want me to do? All I say, we give you a special train. We take you to castle. Me inform Mr. Clark of your whereabouts. We be there soon. We're going to the castle right now? You ask. No time like the present, Mr. Yoshi says. He says something in Japanese to the driver, and the limousine turns down a side street, which turns out to be just as crowded as the main one. What you've seen of Tokyo reminds you of a giant beehive. In the spaces between massive skyscrapers, buildings are being torn down or built. The whole city is in a constant state of activity and change. After threading through numerous side streets, the limousine soon enters a district of low, one-story houses made of wood with contemporary tiled roofs in the Japanese style. You've had very much training in Kung Fu Taekwondo. We complete your training. Did you become a master of karate? You are now some distance into the suburbs, which seems to stretch on forever. You see housing complexes mixed with factories pouring smoke into the air. In the far distance, rising out of the smog, the perfect cone of Mount Fuji. Soon, the countryside turns more rural, and you begin to see farms. Up ahead on a high hill, a large gleaming white building with dark slanting roofs seems to soar into the sky. Castle! It dates back to Yamamoto family, but now it's headquarters of the UJEC. Soon you're going up a long winding road to the front of the castle. It has a moat and a drawbridge, just like the ones you've read about, but the similarity ends there. Instead of towers and battlements, there are high white walls that rise into the overhanging roofs. The car drives along the drawbridge into the castle. It stops inside a large, high-ceiling garage, and you and Mr. Yoshi get out. He then leads you to a bank of elevators at the far side. I show you headquarters. I show you will find satisfactory. Elevator goes up several floors, and then comes to a stop. Mr. Yoshi leads you down a long hallway to a door at the end. Inside is a spacious apartment, decorated in the traditional Japanese style, with tatami mats on the floor and shoji screens dividing the room, all leading out to a small open garden. Off to side here, says Mr. Yoshi. Modern bathroom with Japanese tub. You will find futon mattress. Roll up in cabinet. Radio, television, built into cabinet next to Tokonoma alcove. All this in room service too, you say sarcastically, smiling. Mr. Yoshi, however, doesn't smile. Maybe the joke was over his head. In any case, he turns around and leaves the room. Suddenly it hits you just how tired you are. All that you went through in that pachinko place, combined with the jet lag, is finally catching up with you. You take out the futon mattress and start to unroll it, when a girl wearing what looks like black pajamas rolls a cart piled high with food, boughs and leaves. The timing is perfect, you're also starved. The tray contains, as far as you can make out, a bowl of rice with fried veggies, some kind of soup, noodles, cooked fish, pickles, and several other dishes you don't recognize. You settle down to eat in front of the TV. Since there's no Western furniture in the room, you leave the futon rolled up and use it as backrest. On the TV, many of the programs are reruns of American shows like Magnum P.I. and Family Ties, all dubbed in Japanese. It doesn't take you long to fall asleep. The next morning, the ringing of a bell somewhere outside your room wakes you. Sunlight streams in from the garden, where bright red flowers grow among the strangely shaped grey rocks. You go to the bathroom, wash your face, get dressed. As you're coming out, there's a knock at the door of your suite as Mr. Yoshi. "You in luck," he says. "Mr. Kokuru, director of UJEC, will see you this morning. Right away. He is waiting in office." You hurry along behind Mr. Yoshi, down a long hallway up a flight of stairs and into a huge room. The walls are elaborately carved and gilded, and the dark hardwood floor is polished, so you can see your own reflection. You have no doubt this was once the throne room of the castle. At the far end, however, instead of a throne, there is a large desk. Behind it is a short, plump Japanese man with a shiny bald head and a short, scraggly beard, dressed impeccably in a Western business suit. As you walk across the room, he comes out from behind the desk with his hand outstretched. "Welcome to our organization and the world of UJEC," he says in perfect English, shaking your hand firmly and enthusiastically. "We Japanese are not known for getting right to the point, but I've learned this and many of your other Western ways. We here at UJEC are out to dominate the world, economically and technologically." Mr. Kokuru continues, "My misguided predecessor thought they could do this militarily, but of course, they were proven wrong. War is nothing if not completely destructive. We intend to expand peacefully, but relentlessly." "Where do I fit into all this?" you ask, getting to the point yourself. "Ah, yes," he says, rubbing his hands together. "It's in people like you that we place our hopes for the future. Not just the Japanese. There are too few of us, but selected people throughout the world. By using our computers, we will find those who fit our requirements." Mr. Kokuru shakes your hand again and heads back towards his desk. "Yoshi will explain the rest." You follow Mr. Yoshi back at the door. "UJEC factories and laboratories all over Japan," he says. "In fact, all over world. But here at headquarters, we develop most advanced product and train top agent." Mr. Yoshi starts you on the tour of the castle. Each level has a different function, he explains. On some floors are very up-to-date laboratories developing chips for supercomputers. Other floors contain gyms used for karate and other martial arts practice, including ninjutsu. After the tour, Mr. Yoshi takes you back to your room where a morning meal is waiting for you. "I am pleased you're with us," Mr. Yoshi says, bowing as he leaves. You bow back, suddenly feeling very important. For the next few weeks, you study advanced karate techniques and even some ninjutsu, even though you don't particularly like the philosophy behind the latter. You miss Billy and Veronica and wish you knew what they were up to and how they were doing. All the time, however, you store much information in your mind as you can about Kokuru and his operations, knowing you'll eventually have to report back to Nico, the Yakuza boss. Finally, sitting in your suite of rooms late one night, you realize that you must make a decision about your situation. Do you have enough information to satisfy the Yakuza, or should you stay longer to try and figure out even more? Do we try to escape the castle now to go back to the Yakuza, or are we going to collect more information from Mr. Kokuru? Time to collect information. Alright. You decide the best thing for you to do is wait. There's more to be learned about the UJEC plot and its operations about the martial arts, before you report back to Nico and the Yakuza. The next day, you start your training with the Bokken. You put on light body armor necessary for practice. The swords look familiar, then you remember the men attacking the electronics store. You find you have a lot of talent with the Bokken. Even Mr. Kokuru comes to watch an exhibition match you have with Mr. Yoshi, who you discover is one of the top fencing champions of Japan. More months spent learning the Japanese language. Eventually you acquire enough skill to speak easily with anyone in the castle. Meanwhile, you've become more and more convinced that Kokuru is your true master. After every one of his inspirational talks, you jump to your feet and shout in unison with the others. You look forward to the day when you can go back to the States and be an agent for the UJEC, helping them with their plans to take over the world. You don't know what the Japanese police are about to storm the castle and arrest the top leaders of the UJEC and you with them. Well, Amy, you got arrested with the UJEC's Zaibatsu. Is there anything you'd like to change about your adventure? Okay, you're happy? Alright. I'm pretty happy too. I think that's it for me as well, because I'm tired. Alright guys, go show some love to Axolotl. Axolotl. Should be fun, should be fun. I miss you all already. I'll see you tomorrow. See you guys, bye.